Perfecto. Oh, there we go. There's the voice. All right. Hi, everybody. Hello and welcome. I'm Alicia, and like Jen, I'm in Amiskwaci, Waskagan, on Treaty 6 territory, today known as Edmonton, Alberta, in Canada. For anyone who might be using a screen reader, I am a Black woman with short, curly black hair and glasses. I'm a nonfiction copy editing, proofreading, and authenticity reading specialist for business communication, human interest, healthcare, education, and scholarly books in the humanities and social sciences. And I've run my sole proprietorship, Fresh Look Editing, for the past 7 years, which is a bit hard to believe. That time's gone pretty fast. And I am absolutely delighted to be here with everybody this evening to discuss Jamal's book. So, speaking of Jamal, welcome, Jamal. Tell everybody a little bit about you. Jamaal D. Pittman was born and raised in rural North Carolina by his great aunts and his mother, Lily. He currently resides in Los Angeles. He is a 2003 graduate of Morehouse College, where he earned a degree in mathematics. He is copy editor manager at Capital Group, a financial services company based in downtown LA. In 2025, he was awarded the Robinson Prize, a National Editor of the Year recognition bestowed by ACES, the Society for Editing. And he's also the first Black editor to win the award in its 20-year history. Jamal is also a screenwriter and working on a drama screenplay about a missing Black child in the 1980s. If the script becomes a feature film, Jamal hopes to partner with the Black and Missing Foundation to bring more attention to missing children of color, which is fabulous. So, everybody, welcome Jamal. Thank you
Hey,
again for
everybody.
being here.
Thank you.
Hi
Thank
there.
you, Alicia. Thank you, Jen, for having me today. And thank you to everybody on the call for joining today's book club and for also supporting my book. It means the world to me. And I'm so happy to be here with you all today. Thank you so much.
Oh, you're very welcome. I know we're all very excited to have you as well. Before we got started, I was saying, everybody, I was saying to Jen and Jamal that I'm feeling quite greedy and grateful to be able to have this opportunity because I'm in another book club where we were able to talk about Jamal's book. And I jumped at the chance to be able to have a chance to speak with him here tonight with all of you. So this is excellent for me. So, right out of the gates, Jamal. On the back of your book, we talk about one of the bullet points that's highlighted is about giving yourself grace in a
Yeah.
world where perfection is impossible. So, given the notorious pressure, not just on academic editing clients, but clients in general these days, and on editors ourselves, how do you think we can take your lessons even closer to heart? And do you think it's even possible to avoid taking that pressure upon ourselves?
It's such a great question to start. And thank you so much for asking me that. I am not an academic editor, but I feel like the guidance in my book applies to any editor. And I am aware, tangentially about the inherent pressures given the nature of the work that you all do. Researchers are under more pressure to turn things around, which means editors have less time to do their jobs, and there's even more pressure to get it right every single time, which can lead to mistakes. I don't care what anybody tells you, no matter how good of an editor you are, no matter how many years you have in the field, mistakes are unavoidable because we're human. And with the amount of content that academic editors in particular have to review, mistakes are not only, it's not a matter of if you make a mistake, it's a matter of when something happens. At some point, something's going to slip through. It's not the error that you made, it's really how you respond to it. And there's two pieces to that. The first piece, I think, is acknowledging the error. And realizing why you made that error and taking the steps that you need to take to make sure it doesn't happen again. But the other piece of that is focusing on the things that we got right. I think as editors, we spend so much time beating ourselves up over the things that we missed that we tend to forget that the piece that we worked on, by the time we're done with it, it's in so much better shape in the end than when it started. And that author is likely very grateful for the time and the effort that we put in. So I think that's the other piece of it is also recognizing the great work that you did and the value add that you have on a project. So I think if you take those two things into consideration, it'll make a world of difference in how you respond to that pressure. In the book, I say pressure is a gift because it means that you recognize the task in front of you, and um, there's a reason that you were the person assigned to that piece. Your experience, your talent, your unique point of view, all of that comes into play. And so pressure is a gift. We shouldn't let it stifle us. It should propel us forward as to be the best copy editors we can be.
Yeah, that's really good advice. And I like being able to kind of take that script that we often tell ourselves as editors and flip it on its head,
Yeah,
about not what we got wrong, but what did we get right? How is it in better shape? That kind of thing. That's awesome. No,
absolutely.
absolutely.
And I know in some areas, the stakes are higher. If there's certain data that you have in your piece or that you can't get wrong, yeah, the stakes are a little bit higher there as well. So you want to pay closer attention to that. But when you do make an error, if it's not something that's going to embarrass the writer or the organization, um, you simply just take the lesson and move forward. You get to live another day and come back and do great work. So that's my take on it.
Absolutely. Wonderful. That leads us really well into the next question I had for you, Jamal, which was an aspect of the book that I found really enjoyable, and I've heard this feedback from others as well, is just how personable your writing is.
Mm.
And you talk about, as editors, we're human. Obviously, we talk a lot about our value add as human editors, with all this new technology that's out and about. So what I wanted to know was why it was so important for you as a writer to add so much of your personality into the book, and how do you think that we all can be personable in our interactions with our clients and our work, really?
Thank you so much for the compliment. I think I want to put my personality, my personal stamp on anything that I write, because if I can't
Mhm.
bring myself into my writing, then what am I writing for? I don't want to
Mhm.
express somebody else's voice as a writer. I'm charged as a writer to carve out my own lane. And so that was my goal with this book. I wanted it also to be different from most of the other offerings out there for copy editors. Most copy editing books, from what I've read, have had this very formal tone. But to that point, most copy editing books are about the mechanics of the role. So it makes sense that that tone would be more formal.
Mhm.
Um, it would have been disingenuous of me to write a book about handling pressure, giving yourself grace, and all of those things if I wasn't demonstrating my own tone. I wanted my book for the reader to feel like a conversation with an old friend. Um, and I think as editors work with, their writers or their clients or their stakeholders, they can apply that same conversational tone without getting in trouble, right? Because you don't want to talk to your clients and and the organization you work for with the exact same tone as you do with people that you know intimately.
Sure.
But I
Yeah.
think there's something to be said for disarming people with your personality. I know in academic editing, the writing style is a lot more formal, so that's already going to be in the work. So why bring that extra formality to your day-to-day conversations with people? That's a chance to showcase who you are, to build relationships, and I think the best way to build those relationships is by being authentic. Um, it it doesn't have to be this stiff, stilted thing when we engage with others. I think it just makes the whole process much more enjoyable for everybody.
Yeah. No, that's so true. And that's part of the joy, I think, in being part of this community of
Yeah.
communicators is kind of getting to know each other, getting to know like who you are as a person, what you bring to the table,
Hmm.
and why you're unique for a job, which is fabulous.
Absolutely. I don't think people historically think of copy editors as having these strong, well-defined personalities, but we do. We don't just sit in a corner and redline copy until our fingers bleed, as I mentioned in the book. We are
Yeah.
actually people. We live, we laugh, we love, we get our hearts broken. Actually break a few hearts as well. We have fully developed, well-rounded personalities, and there is no reason for us, with our very specific skill set, to stifle that. I think we should show up as who we are. I think people really appreciate that. And I think it also enhances the work too. When you can show up authentically in the work that you're doing, it enhances the quality of the work as well.
That's perfect. Yeah. Yeah, I agree. So it's very clear from the book and now meeting you in person how much you love the profession, how
Yeah,
passionate you are about it.
yeah.
And of course, you've referenced tonight already, you referenced in the book, about that pressure that we have in this industry being a privilege, um, and feeling a sense of that privilege as a copy editor within this profession. So I am curious that given the current political climate that
Mhm.
many of us are facing, because I know we're all coming from different parts of the world, not just in North America. Do you still feel this way now that you're a couple of years past when you were writing the book?
Yeah, not to get too political because I know
Mhm.
not everyone will agree with my brand of politics. So I won't even go there. I respect that people have different political opinions, but I don't think politics affects the sentiment of me seeing pressure as a privilege. If anything, pressure should have a mitigating effect on how we move forward. The job of editor should feel like something that you are called to do, and less of a pain point for you. When you remind yourself that you're in this position for a reason, that there's a reason that you're called to edit this piece, it becomes less about you and more about the overarching mission, which is to enhance the clarity for the reader, and produce the best possible piece that you can. I think regardless of whatever political environment that you or I might be in, I think I think that, it that doesn't affect anything as far as the overall sentiment of pressure being a privilege. I think in good times or bad times politically, um, pressure is a privilege because it's how we are able to tap into our best selves. Um, Looking back over my life, I don't think I ever achieved my biggest success without having some barriers up, you know?
Mhm.
Anything that I ever achieved easily, I didn't really appreciate. It didn't mean a whole lot to me. When I've had to work for something, and I've had to work for a lot of things in my life, the reward in the end was just that much sweeter because I know what it took. That pressure, um, that pressure made me into who I am today. Um, and I'm grateful for it. I embrace pressure. It took me years to get there. But now that I'm there, I'm like, bring it on.
Love that. Yeah, that's a really I like how you think in that about and recognizing that it takes a while to get there sometimes,
Absolutely.
because pressure can eat us up and spit us out sometimes, or it can hone you.
Yeah.
Um,
Hmm.
I think I can't remember the phrase right now, but about pressure making diamonds, that
Oh,
type of thing,
absolutely. That is perfect.
right?
That is perfect. Yeah. And I come from a line of people who faced pressure every single day and rose to the occasion.
Hmm.
And they had less resources than I did. So if they can face that pressure and thrive at the end of it, who am I not to?
Oh, you know, leading into this as well, is beautiful segues here. Another thing I wanted to talk to you about is, you know, obviously our profession is women dominated.
Yeah.
There's a lot of conversation about diversity in publishing, bringing own voices to the table. I'm curious about, for you yourself, being a Black male editor within, again, a traditionally, very maybe narrow view of the industry of who's at the table in these conversations. Do you feel any pressure to present yourself differently or to carry yourself or move differently within this industry?
I think when I was younger, I did. When I was less experienced, and wasn't completely confident in who I am as a person, I
Mhm.
did feel a certain pressure. A lot of it was self-imposed to show up a certain way. Um, but the more experience I got under my belt, the more confident I became as a man, even independent of editing. um, I became more comfortable showing up as my authentic self. And I realized that people like me for me. And when I do show up as my authentic self, it enhances everything else around me because I'm being real. That realness translates into the work that I do. It
Mhm.
translates into how I walk into the room, not as somebody else, not as somebody else's vision of what I'm supposed to be, but as who I am, authentically. Being myself has served me well throughout my life, and I have no reason to change that. People will either receive it or they won't, but that's not a me problem. That's a them problem. And so I carry that throughout my life. Shout out to my mom and my family, in particular my great aunts, who I named my scholarship after, for instilling that in me in an early age. And I think it's carried me throughout my life.
Yeah, those family lessons can be so important
Yeah.
to carry with us. You know, just today actually, I was co-working with a couple of editor buddies who are now friends of mine, and one of them was talking about having just read something recently about how, you know, with age and experience, it allows ourselves to be more authentic. Like you get older and you can become more, I guess, in your own skin, in your own mind, in
Hmm.
your own body, and stand firmer um, on your principles and your values and who you are. It can be really exciting to do, I think.
Goodness. Exciting and freeing. And yeah, I honestly, at 44, almost 45, I think I'm happier and more settled into myself than I've ever been at any point in my life. And I wouldn't change it for anything in the world. I encourage everybody on the call to show up as your authentic self, and let that carry you. Don't try to be somebody else. Don't try to be the editor somebody else is. Be the best version of the best editor that you can be, because only you can bring that. And there's something so empowering about that. Um, and yeah, I think about like if everybody on this call were given the same 5-page document to edit, yeah, we find some of the same things, right? But there's certain things that one person will find that nobody else will find, or they'll have a different take on how to rewrite or restructure something. That is one of the most beautiful parts of what we do. I think editing has sort of been pigeonholed, typecast as this robotic kind of thing. But there's so much room within our profession to put your own stamp on the material and make it sing, and also still make the client happy. So many, another reason I wrote this book, there's so many books out there about rules and what to do here and what not to do. And it's like, where are the books about how to live a life, how to bring yourself
Mhm.
to every piece that you edit every single day? Like, I wanted to write something like that. And there are some books out there that kind of touch on it, but I wanted to put my own stamp on it. And I think as editors start to do that, um, we start to shift the perception of what we do, and we start to
Mhm.
demystify the work that we do for the general public and the people that we work with who
Yeah,
aren't editors.
yeah, oh, absolutely. Oh, that's so exciting. And I think you've just touched on something that was really, really prevalent in conversations that I've heard other editors having about this book is about it's clearly filled a need somewhere and something that people clearly want to talk about and to embrace and to meditate on and to think about, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's wonderful. So thank you for that gift for all of us,
Thank you.
to help us feel seen as well. Um,
Absolutely.
yeah. So one thing I'm going to ask, and I feel when I thought of this question, I thought, oh, I'm going to be that person. I'm going to bring up the AI initials, but I'm going to go there, folks. Bear with
That's
me.
everywhere. So yeah,
It's everywhere, so might as well embrace that too.
might as well. Yeah.
Um, so in your words, and I love this how you called it the shortest chapter in the book is being on AI. Um, and I know you didn't dive too deeply into it, but I am curious from your perspective if
Mhm.
you see this rise in technology as still as the biggest challenge that is facing editing today, or if you see that there are others really even though AI is kind of dominating a lot of the narrative around our work right now.
Yeah, AI is everywhere. Every company's incorporating AI. Every day we're reading articles about how AI is taking our jobs or will take our jobs. AI is definitely a challenge and it's not going away anytime soon.
Mm,
Um, I think it's not just going to affect academic editing, but editing as a whole, and pretty much any profession that you can think of. But as I say in the book, I think the real challenge is going to be how to incorporate AI as a tool designed to work alongside us, rather
mm,
than a tool that's designed to replace us, rather than a threat. I think the even bigger challenge for editors is not going to be AI, but like the research part of what we do because we're bombarded with so much content online today. There's so much misinformation, disinformation out there, and it's at an all-time high, and it's only going to get worse. I think separating the wheat from the chaff is going to remain critical in what we do, and it's going to be the most important thing that we do going forward. Is making sure that people who read our content are getting accurate information with no slant, no bias, no misinformation. That's going to be even more important than the AI thing, in my
mm.
opinion.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's some good points to consider. I love what you said too about having the technology and figuring out how to work alongside it as opposed to, seeing it as something that will replace us. Like how do we
Mhm.
kind of, I guess, how do we achieve that relationship for lack of a better word?
Yeah,
So yeah, there's definitely some opportunities and some exciting times ahead and things to think about for sure.
absolutely. And every piece of
Yeah.
technology that's come before I think we've always found a way to incorporate it into what we do and enhance what we do. And I don't think AI would be any different. I really don't. AI is going to get better. You know what I'm saying? Like it's technology. Technology always gets better, but
Mhm.
there's always going to be a need for a well-trained, talented human being. I talked earlier about putting your own stamp on things and having that unique perspective. Like that's why I think the human touch is still going to be important, even with AI coming into the fold.
Yeah. No, absolutely. No, for sure. Good things to keep in mind, and to think
Absolutely.
about. Yeah. So Jamal, want to know, what did you learn about yourself in the course of writing this book? Give us some insight.
Well, one thing I learned is that I might not be writing another book anytime soon because that took a
Ah,
lot
that's my
out of me.
follow-up question.
Might not. I needed a break. But that was a self-imposed challenge, so that's on me. I think that the main thing I learned through the journey of writing and self-publishing this book was to not wait for a yes for anything that I'm doing.
Mm,
As I mentioned before, I think it's prior to everyone joining the call, I wrote the copy editor's lifestyle guide without a manager, without an agent, without a book deal. I simply had an idea that I was incredibly passionate about. I saw there was space for it, and I proceeded to see it through. That book, because it resonated so profoundly with people, hit number one on Amazon, contributed to me winning the industry's highest honor, and allowed me to exist in spaces like the one that I'm in right now. And had I waited for a yes, had I waited to see if a manager or agent would sign me or get a book deal, had I not taken a chance on myself, none of it would have happened. So that was the biggest thing for me was I saw an opening, and I pursued it fully to the very end. And I gave it the best that I had from start to finish. And I'm just really proud of the result. So that was probably the biggest lesson I learned was to not wait to go forward.
amazing. Amazing. Oh my goodness. We could sit here and talk to you for, I know we're almost coming up on time for audience questions. See, I'm being greedy again.
The
It's
time
like I could
is
just keep
rolling
talking to
by. It's
you.
ro it's rolling by. Yeah.
Oh, it really is. So Jamal, last thing for me before we turn it over to the audience. Um, so we know you're working on a drama screenplay. I also wanted to ask you, what's next for Jamal? Like, take us a year from now, take us 5 years from now. What are we seeing Jamal Pittman doing?
Wow. A year from now, 5 years from now. Well, I manage a team of editors at Capital Group, as you led with in this conversation. I think what I want to do next within the editing realm is continue to improve as a manager. I don't ever want to feel like I hit a ceiling where there's nothing more I can do. I want to continue to find new ways to advocate for my team, to empower them, to let them see their own value. Even as the world around them is changing, I want them to recognize the power they have as editors and continue to do that. I don't ever want to get to a point where I get complacent in my career,
Mhm.
because I know that my charge is just not to be a copy editor manager and like be, have this book out. I want to make meaningful, lasting change for our editing community. And that work doesn't stop once you've won an award or published a book. Um, and so next for me is continuing to find ways to empower my team, um, and editors around the world who continue to discover this book. And that's the beauty about having a book. There'll always be somebody new to discover it
Mhm.
um, and hopefully be impacted by it. Outside of the realm of copy editing, you mentioned my screenplay. Um, I do have, without naming her name, there is an A-list actress and her team heavily interested in the script. And so, assuming things move in the direction that I want them to, one of my longer term goals with the project is to eventually get it produced and made into a feature film. And I think, as you mentioned at the beginning, I want to also partner with the Black and Missing Foundation, to help push this script and stories of missing children, in particular, missing children of color, because as we all can imagine on the call, when a missing child of color disappears, they don't get the same level of care and attention as other missing children. And so I want to
Mhm.
help change the conversation around missing kids of color, and the perception around them. They deserve the same level of care and attention, in the media as other kids do. So that's the next goal outside of editing, is to get this feature film made. Everything that I do, I'm hoping to um, have a positive impact on the world. One of my biggest fears in my life has been this notion of me just taking up space and not doing something that is profound and resonant and um, helping to change the world. Um, the second I stop doing that, I'm going to worry. If I had to add one more thing to what's next for Jamal, I do have a scholarship that I launched um, 4 years ago. No, 5 years ago at this point. And so I want to help that scholarship continue to grow. It is awarded to a graduating senior at my former high school every single year. Every year, the award amount increases. And so I want to be able to, uh, in the future, award more scholarships, um, as that fund grows and continue to make impacts that way. So everything that I do, um, is geared toward meaningful, lasting change. I want to leave a good mark on the world. I want people to think about me when I'm long gone and say, he did his thing. He really made a great impact on the world. He really did the best that he could, um, to leave a mark, and a good one. And so I want that to be my legacy.
No, that's wonderful. Jamal, thank you so much for
Thank you.
being so candid, so open, so honest, and really to give us all things to think about, to aspire to.
Thank you for having me. It means so
100%.
much, Alicia. This was a great conversation, and I'm so happy to be here. So proud of the work that everybody on this call does, and if I can help in any way to be an encourager and a supporter, feel free to reach out to me. I'm on LinkedIn as well.
Yes. And when your screenplay is a reality and on the screen, we get dibs on you coming back to talk to us, yeah?
Oh yeah, it's a deal, and this is recorded, so this is your evidence that you get dibs for sure.
So
That's so good. Thank
thank
you
you so
so
much.
much. We'll
Thank
open
you.
the floor to questions from everyone who's here. You can throw them in the chat if you want to type them out. You can raise your virtual hand. You can raise a physical hand. I can't guarantee physical hands will be seen, but we will do our best. But yeah, hopefully that conversation has ignited some ideas, some questions of your own, and yeah, let's open it up. I mean, I will jump in right away to be quite honest, because I want to know because this book is quite personal. I'm curious, how did you decide what to include and what to leave out? Like that's got to be a difficult decision when you're writing.
It was a difficult decision to decide what to include and what to leave out. I know for those of you who haven't read the entire book yet, um, like half of it is like memoir and the other half is like best practices. The second half of it was best practices, which was to me the easy part. The hard part was the part in the beginning because it's like how vulnerable do I have to be? Um, well, how vulnerable can I get in a way that is comfortable for me? Because I go deep on stuff. I tell some stories that may seem embarrassing to some people. Um, it was a time in my life where I didn't feel like I was a success, and so some of those memories were hard. But I felt that the benefit of having people read my journey and hopefully avoid some of the pitfalls outweighed any lingering shame or uncertainty I had about sharing it. So I had to push past a lot of feelings to write those early chapters. But I'm so glad that I did because I think it allowed other editors to realize that they're going through or went through some similar situations. And those who are still in it can hopefully feel like they come out on the other side better. And those who've already gone through and come out can be like, oh, well, I wasn't alone. I wasn't crazy for feeling how I was feeling. So, yeah, it was those first two chapters were difficult because I wanted to censor myself initially, but I was like, no, just go for it. Go for it. It's your story, it's your journey. You're going to help somebody. So, yeah, I would say the first half was hard.
Oh, thanks, Jamal. And thanks, Jen, for kicking us off. We've got some questions here coming in. First one is from Danielle.
Hi,
Uh,
Danielle.
Danielle would Danielle would like to know if you had someone else edit the book, and if so, what was that process like?
Oh, that's a great question. I did have somebody edit the book. Her name is Mary Moore, and she and I have been friends for um almost 20 years. But before, and you editors on the call can all relate to this, before I gave it to her to edit, I did my own self-edit. It's like it's like if you hire a cleaner for your house, you clean, you do a pre-clean before they come over, so you're not embarrassed. So I took a month where I did my own edit of the book, which I'm glad that I did because there was a lot there that I needed to clean up. And then I let Mary know that, I did my initial edit and I'm ready for her to do it. And Mary was somebody I looked up to and admired early in my career, my very first editing job. And we maintained a friendship. She's super talented. She's on my LinkedIn if you want to look her up, Mary Moore. And she did 2 rounds of edit. The first round was in a Word document that I provided for her. I hired a third party company to lay the book out in InDesign because I'm not really good at InDesign. And then once it was laid out, I had Mary do another final edit. Um, and I know some of the stigma with self-published books is, oh, there's so many errors in these books and like typos and things like that. I didn't want to fall into that, so I hired the best and hopefully you all didn't find too many mistakes in the book, but I think it turned out really great. So thank you to Mary Moore for such a great job.
Awesome. Thanks, Danielle, for your question.
Thanks for that.
Um, we've got a comment from Melissa. Melissa says, "Hey, Jamal, I am also an actress based in Baltimore, Maryland. So if you ever need talent, I am available."
Make sure this is Melissa.
Melissa Scott.
Melissa Scott, make sure you connect with me on LinkedIn and let me and remind me that you're an actress, like, and that we talked today because honestly, when this thing gets going, I'm going to be looking for people to play these very important roles. So let's make sure we connect. Um, and I don't know what your journey in this industry has been like, but mine has been up and down. But
Mhm.
I think it's made me more resilient. And once this film happens, like the gratitude that I feel is going to be enormous because I know what the journey has been. So make sure we connect, Melissa, and I would love for you to be a part of this if you're interested.
Okay, thank you so much.
Of course.
There you go. Making connections. Love it.
Making
Thank
connections.
you.
Exactly.
Thanks, Melissa. Our next question is from Cynthia. And Cynthia asks, how do you approach correcting new editors when you're managing your team? For example, how do you walk new editors through errors and good catches?
That is a great question. I actually had that happen recently. There is an editor that's newer on my team, and there was a button that had a typo. The word was Outlook, but she had an extra O in there somewhere. And I we had a one-on-one, and I started off with all the things that she got right, basically following the guidances in my book. And I also referenced her history of great edits prior to that. So there was
Mhm.
context there. And I just reminded her, like, we're moving super fast. There's always things to look at. At some point, there's going to be something missed. I know what your quality is, and I know that this was just a mistake on your end. And I can't hold that against you. It went out the door already. Nobody got sued. It didn't embarrass the company. Like, you made a mistake. Mistakes are going to happen. The key is to maybe think about what led to the error. Maybe it was too many pages of copy to look at. Maybe you didn't have enough time to do your edit. But like, as long as you drill down into what led to it and you can make peace with it, and recognize that you're still bringing value as an editor, you're going to be okay. I always start with encouragement and let encouragement be a through line. I don't want to make any editor ever feel horrible about making a mistake. We're not neurosurgeons. We're not Carlos Alcaraz, Serena Williams, LeBron James. We're not those people. We're copy editors. And yes, what we do is important, but I think sometimes the stakes feel higher for us than they have to be. And so I just always lead with encouragement. Um, if you read my book, I didn't always feel super encouraged as a new editor. And I think in the 20 years since then, I've been intentional about not making other editors feel the way that I was made to feel. And so that's been key for me. I know what it feels like because you're already beating yourself up, and now somebody else is beating you up on top of that. Like no editor should have to endure that. I I I I, I trust that every editor that I work with has the best intentions, that they want to do a good job. And for me, that is enough for the most part. Nobody's striving to fail. Nobody wants to do a bad job. Sometimes things slip through and things happen, and
Mhm.
I think that's been a great way to approach it. And it also builds trust. It has opened the door for editors to come to me with questions, um, and concerns, and maybe want me to walk through a piece with them and kind of talk through my process. I think if you create psychological safety, um, and maintain that even through mistakes, you're allowing that person to grow as an editor as well.
Fabulous. Psychological safety. Like I am literally writing that down right now.
It's so
I think
important.
it's wonderful. Thank you for your question, Cynthia. Our next question is from Sophia. Sophia, I hope I'm saying your name correctly, Sophia. I hope so. Apologies if I'm not. But her question is, as a manager, do you still get a chance to do hands-on editing, or is most of your time now spent on administrative tasks? Good
That
question.
is a really great question.
Hmm.
I do manage a team of eight full-timers and a few contractors, but I'm also an editor for another team, so I'm a player coach in that way. And I think it's great because it allows me to still have a foot into the work. Um, I find that if I'm just managing, then I can find myself losing track of what the latest style is and like what all the changes have been. Like I want to keep my ear to the ground in terms of like what's changing. I think if I'm still editing, that makes me a better manager. Yes, there is a lot of
Mhm.
administrative work in what I do, but in order for me to be present for my team and be able to help them troubleshoot, especially when they do make mistakes, I
Mhm.
need to be aware of what's going on as well. And so having a foot it's still into the CE space and being able to still edit files keeps me close to the work and keeps me um, well informed so that I can show up in the best possible way for my team.
Yeah. Yeah, it really adds to your I would think it would add to your credibility as well, because I think we've all
Sure.
been in situations where maybe somebody steps into a role without necessarily knowing what their
Hmm.
staff do
Yeah.
or the
Yeah.
challenges.
Yeah.
And that can be awkward at best
It can
sometimes.
be.
So
It can be. And I like to know what's going on. And you know, to your point, if editors are coming to me with an editing question, I need to be able to know what I'm talking about. And what better way to do that than actually being actively involved in the editing work? Um, so yeah, I still very much edit and I enjoy it.
awesome. Thank you for that question. Wonderful. Our next question is from Adebe. Adebe would like to know, as a freelancer, what can I do with the pressure that comes from periods of time where I don't have major projects or deadlines? I thrive off the pressure of being occupied and want to continue the freelance hustle regardless.
Mm. Yeah,
Uh,
I can tell you what my journey was, and you don't have to follow what I did, but I was a freelancer for a number of years, and I found that the feast or famine lifestyle that comes along with that was okay for me for a bit. It was a bit thrilling for a while until it wasn't. When I found myself panicking all the time, I was like, no, I need something more stable. Um, I if you still enjoy freelancing and you don't feel like you're being burned out, I would say stick with it and you're still able to pay your bills and all that, and you're able to ride the ups and downs, continue to ride them. But if there comes a point where you're not able to ride those ups and downs anymore, where you're not sleeping, where you're worried about when that check is going to arrive in the mail and it's becoming a frequent thing, then I would say maybe consider a pathway with a little bit more stability attached to it. That's what I did for myself because I needed to get to a place of financial security and comfort, and I wasn't having it after a certain point anymore. So it really depends on like your level of satisfaction and joy doing that and your ability to still maintain your household and pay your bills. So that's a personal decision that you have to make for yourself. It was a bumpy ride for me and I eventually had to get off. So
mm,
that's what I did. But I'm happy to, if you're not connected with me on LinkedIn, please reach out to me because I think part of what was missing for me as a freelancer was having other people to encourage me through those periods where the work was slower or I was up at 3 in the morning editing and when I'd rather be sleeping. Um, Having someone there who could like rah 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 and like encourage me would have probably made more of a difference and I would have stuck it out for longer than what I did. So that is my journey. I'm happy to connect with you to discuss more, but that's what I'll have to add there.
awesome. Thank you, Jamal. Thank you, Adebe, for your question as
It's a
well.
great question.
hmm Um, I don't think. Jamie or Jen, are you seeing anything else in the chat that I can't see or that came in privately?
No, we've got to all the questions so far. Anybody else have questions? Don't be shy.
Don't be shy, it's just me.
Let's see. Nope. Okay. I'm going to jump in with one.
Sure.
So Jamal, since uh, we're talking a little bit about, you know, yourself and what made you feel good and brought joy. So what do you do, we may ask, for self-care right now? Like, what is your ultimate self-care after a long day managing, editing, all the things?
Um, for me, a great workout helps me more than anything else. A good run. I've been running a lot more lately, and not just there's a treadmill in my building that I use often, but for the past few months, I've been running outside more. Like, there's nothing like a good evening run after a long day, or even a great morning run before you even start your day to really help you like level set. Like, it's been so calming for me in ways that I wish I had started this journey like years ago. So exercise has been number one for me. Um, a nice glass of wine, just one in the evening after work, to kind of, get all the day's stuff off of me, really helps me as well. But self-care can look however you want to. I think the biggest thing for me is continuing to do things that bring me joy, even on stressful days. That's been the key for me. Um, I love to read, so I pick up a good book. Um, I haven't had as much time lately. My schedule's been a little bit more hectic, but that also is another way that I kind of take care of myself.
Mhm.
And for me, staying connected to my family as well. When I talk to my mom or my best friend or people that are close to me that I can vent to and like just kind of talk about other things with, is a great level setting measure for me. Isolation does not jibe with me at all. I
Mm,
think that when I'm going through a lot of pressure, my first instinct is to isolate, as I'm sure it is for many of you on the call as well. But I think that at least touching base with somebody who loves you, who cares, can be a great way. It's one of the best ways for self-care because it really um, helps you, you know, realize what's most important in the
mm.
world.
Yeah, it keeps you
Um,
grounded.
it keeps you grounded. So as long as you're doing what brings you joy and finding ways to take care of yourself physically as well, like those are the things that, I find make the biggest difference.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm a big fan of advocating for finding your joy, you know,
Yes. And it
wherever
looks
that
different for
is.
all of us. Yes, exactly. It looks different for everybody.
Yeah, absolutely. Joy for me has been getting back into yoga, and I'm not
Nice.
gonna lie, I am down the heated rivalry rabbit hole. So you know what? Joy, joy,
You
joy,
you and
joy.
everybody. Yeah.
Yeah.
All of my cubicle mates at work, that's all they talk about during the day is heater rivalry. Like that's like the biggest thing. Oh, and I'm a huge tennis watcher as well. So I don't know how many of you
Oh,
love
okay.
tennis on the call. Like I've been watching tennis for like 30 years. I love it. And so I'm big on watching like Alcaraz and Sinner and like Coco Gauff and like all those great folks. I know Canada has Felix and Dennis Shapovalov. Like,
Mm,
yeah. So I'm a huge tennis watcher and lover.
yeah, it's perfect. Find your joy, folks. Find
Find your
your joy
joy
and
wherever it is.
and
Yeah.
enjoy it unapologetically too. That's the thing.
Yes. Yes. Don't ever have to defend your what brings you joy. Like, no, that's yours. That's for you and nobody else.
Exactly. So we have a question from Jen. Are there any memorable author-editor relationship wins that stay with you?
Mm,
Good question.
yeah, I do have there's an author friend of mine, and I still work with her to this day, and we never had a really contentious relationship or anything like that. Um, But I think what made our relationship work was the fact that she's a highly talented author, writer. I'm a highly talented copy editor. And I think we saw the gifts in each other and it made us both raise our levels. Like she wanted to be a better
Mm,
writer because she knew I was going to CE her. And I was a better CE because I knew as a writer that she was on her game as well. And that relationship grew into not just author editor, but we become great friends. In fact, we're doing happy hour together on Thursday to
nice.
get together. So that was a big win because the relationship started off as one of mutual respect, and it's still that, but it's grown into something far deeper and far more meaningful to me. The older I get, the more authentic relationships are to me.
Mm, mhm,
And I don't really have a lot of time for fluff, um, or contentious relationships. I want it to be meaningful and positive and warm. And ours grew into that. And so it's been beautiful to witness.
That's wonderful. No, that's a gift to have that. And like you say, kind of leave the toxicity to the side as much as you can. Um,
Absolutely.
yeah, no, I love that. Um,
We'll maybe have
so
time for one more question if there's anyone. Otherwise, we'll start wrapping.
There is no way this hour went by this quick, like this
I
fast.
know, right?
Every time, I swear.
Every time
Wow.
somebody's got like a time traveling something, winding it forward. That's
Right.
not fair.
Right.
All right, so we do have a
I
time.
have a
Actually,
question.
Jamie. Oh, sorry.
I
Ooh,
have a
I missed my
question.
screen.
Yep.
Go ahead.
Lisa?
Oh, I didn't put it in the chat yet, but I just wanted to know, like, Jamal, what advice would you give to a newbie freelancer?
Hmm.
I would say if you haven't already joined an EFA organization or you haven't joined like something like ACES, networking is going to be the biggest part of it because not only do you meet some really awesome fellow editors through those organizations, you also get connected to organizations that are hiring and writers that are looking for editors. So I think as a freelancer, you want to build as big a network as possible. And that means being more social, attending meetings like this, keeping your name out there. You can be the most talented editor in the world, but if you don't have a network behind you, you're just making things much more difficult for you. So just continue to network, put yourself out there. I don't know if your LinkedIn page is like up to date. Do you have a captivating headshot? Is your resume completely filled out? Like I get so much LinkedIn engagement even before the book came out
Mm,
because my LinkedIn page is inviting to people and people find me and want to connect with me. It's using all those tools to make your network strong so that when you do find yourself in a quiet period, you have something else to tap into. Um, so I think that's the biggest piece is to make sure you network and also just stay encouraged and know, and I'm not knocking anybody who loves freelancing and wants to do it long term. It just wasn't for me. But if you ever find yourself in a situation where you're like, freelancing isn't what I thought it was anymore, or it's not as fulfilling as it what had been, you can always make that leap
mhm.
into like a steady 9 to 5. You know what I'm saying? Like you can always there's an out for you if you need it. But again, there are people who freelance for decades, love it, and I'm not knocking those people at all. If that's your thing, by all means do it. But make sure that network is always top notch.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Fantastic.
Thanks.
Okay. I'm gonna cut us off. I'm gonna wrap us up. I like you said, Alicia, we could go on longer than the hour, but people have places to go, evenings to get to. So
Yeah.
let's, we'll wrap it up here. On behalf of EFA and Editors Canada, Jamal, thank you so much for sharing your time, for sharing your insights, your knowledge with us. Like this was a really engaging conversation. We really appreciate it. That you were here today and that you shared more about your book. And Alicia, thank you so much for hosting the conversation, for facilitating this. We really appreciate that you volunteered your time to share with us and your thoughtful
Yeah.
questions with the group. Yeah, this was a really good one. Thank you both. I will
Um,
stop the recording now.